it's Michelle of Lab Muffin Beauty Science, chemistry PhD, cosmetic chemist, and owner of a terrible teenage skincare routine. I talked about my teenage skincare routine before, go watch that if you want all the gory details. I have oily, acne-prone, and dehydration-prone skin, and that skincare routine made everything so much worse. It took me about 15 years to figure out a good skincare routine. We didn't have as much skincare info on the internet back then. So today I'm going to be talking about the skincare routine that I wish I had if I was a teenager again. I've included a few alternatives for different skin types, and I've tried to keep everything below 20 Australian dollars. I have included a few things that tend to go on sale a lot, and with overseas products, the prices tend to fluctuate a bit. And remember, these are my recommendations. They might not work for you. If you have other products that work really well for you, share them in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like science-based beauty content. I'm going to start with a thing not to have in your routine, and that is a mirror and tweezers where you do homework. I have a few dented scars in my nose here and between my eyebrows around here if you look closely, and those are from digging blackheads out of my face when I was 14. It is just too easy to procrastinate by picking at your skin if you have a mirror in the place where you tend to procrastinate the most. And a magnifying mirror is even worse. Do not get a magnifying mirror. If someone gives you a magnifying mirror, it is a curse regifted to a cousin you don't like. So let's go on to cleansers. Cleansing is important and gentle cleansers are the way to go. Clogged pores are one of the things that you start having to deal with when you reach your teenage years, unless you're one of those genetically blessed people with no skin issues ever. And that is because sebum, which is your skin oil, is actually one of the things that clogs your pores. Sometimes your body is just not a team player. One of the big components of sebum is squalene, which is also a skincare ingredient. This reacts with oxygen and in light, and it goes from runny to sticky and more solid. So this starts sticking dead skin cells together to form little plugs in your skin that clog your pores, and these are called microcomedones. So cleansing reduces the amount of sebum on your face and gets rid of some of the stuff that's already reacted, and so that helps to reduce clogged pores. Another good reason to use a cleanser is really just the feel. Cleansers get dirt and oil off your skin, as well as any skincare or makeup products that you're using. I talk a lot more about choosing and using a good cleanser in my ebook, The Lab Muffin Guide to Basic Skincare, but in short, stripping your skin with cleanser is not a good approach. You can't just bully your skin into behaving. It makes oily skin feel worse and it irritates your skin. If you have acne-prone skin, that's even worse because irritation is one of the factors that contributes to acne along with oil and lots of dead skin cells, which I mentioned before. Cleansers with high pH can also disturb your skin and make it easier for acne bacteria to spread and really get ingrained into your skin. Anyway, I think a lot of people, especially people who are new to skincare, tend to underestimate how important a good cleanser is because they wash off. So it seems like it doesn't have that much of an impact. It's only on your skin for a short amount of time. But in reality, a good cleanser can make a massive difference. So here are my picks for budget-friendly cleansers that work well for acne-prone skin. A disclaimer, this video isn't sponsored, but I've been sponsored by some of these brands in the past, and I was sent samples of a lot of these products. But these are my genuine recommendations. I really like the Bioderma cleansing gels. They come in handy pump tops and they just work really well. The Bioderma Sebum cleansing gel is specifically made for acne-prone skin. It can be a little stripping if your skin is dehydration prone, so these days I actually prefer the Sensibio Gel Cleanser. This is a bit more hydrating, but it is missing some of the actives that the Sebum cleanser has that can help with oily, acne-prone skin. Another of my favorites that you can get in stores in Australia is the Bondi Sands Freshen Up Gel Cleanser. This is also launching worldwide. It's really gentle, fragrance-free, and very no frills. The Hada Labo Glycogen Cleanser and the Hamish All Clean Green Foam are also really gentle, very similar sort of idea, but they foam a bit more. A few more supermarket picks, the Neutrogena Ultra Gentle Daily Cleanser, the Cetaphil Oily Skin Cleanser, the CeraVe Hydrating Cleanser, and the Van Cleanance Gel. If you're Australian and you're after an in-store option, I'd also check out the Asclear Foaming Cleanser and the QV Gentle Skin Cleanser. So cleansing, you should probably do this about once or twice a day. How much you want to cleanse really depends on your skin. I've personally found that cleansing once a day at night is a lot better than cleansing twice a day because my skin is so dehydration prone. Cleansing too much just tends to dry it out, but that might be different for you. Just feel free to experiment with the frequency. Okay, on to makeup removal. Now, I wasn't allowed to wear makeup to school, so I didn't really need this, but these days I love doing a double cleanse. I didn't know what that was back then. Basically, cleansing oils and cleansing balms are products that you can use to melt away makeup really easily, and they also work really well for water-resistant sunscreen. It just sort of gets rid of everything before you go in with another cleanser. Now, the annoying thing with cleansing oils is that they can be a bit expensive and difficult to find. The one that was easiest to find was the simple Kind to Skin cleansing oil, but unfortunately it looks like it's been discontinued. There is the QV bath oil in Australia, which wasn't made to be a cleansing oil, but it works pretty well for that. It does leave behind a bit of residue though, so you'll want to follow up with a regular cleanser. The Korean brand Etude House also has cleansing oils that sometimes go on sale. Cleansing balms are solid versions that are a bit easier to use, but they also tend to be a bit expensive. The cheapest options that I've tried and loved are the Ordinary Squalane Cleanser and the Hamish All Clean Balm. If you're looking for a simpler cleansing routine and you wear makeup or waterproof sunscreen, I would recommend a micellar water. You can use this as a single product to remove makeup and clean your skin. Simple have a really good budget-friendly micellar water. Bioderma is also fantastic. I'd recommend the Sensitive Bio one over the Sebium because you can't use the Sebium around your eyes. Both of these have been through a lot of clinical testing to make sure they're really gentle, and they can be left on skin without rinsing for most people without issues. So it's really good for after sports or if you're just too tired to get to a sink. I'd also grab some reusable cotton pads to use with these. Cheaper disposable cotton pads tend to be a bit rough on skin. I actually used to use some that made me think that the micellar water was too harsh for my skin for a long time. And yeah, I'm not really that smart, I just play a smart person on TV. Most brands of reusable cotton pads last for ages. You can also make some DIY ones if you're a bit crafty. Now on to acne treatments. There are a few common over-the-counter options that are good for dealing with acne. But it's important to remember, as Dr. Anjali Manto said in our collaboration on food and acne, if you've given these over-the-counter options a good bash and your acne doesn't seem to be getting better, and this is an option that's available to you, it is a good idea to talk to a doctor or dermatologist. Sometimes what looks like acne is something else. Sometimes acne comes from internal causes that over-the-counter products just can't really fix. If your acne is extending onto the rest of your body, if it's starting to scar or affect your mental health, these are good signs that you should probably move on to professional help. Let's start with the most famous acne ingredient, benzoyl peroxide. It is famous for a good reason. It is really effective at killing acne bacteria, and it does it in a way that doesn't promote bacterial resistance. In other words, as you're attacking the bacteria doesn't just evolve and get even stronger, which is not a good situation. Benzoyl peroxide also decreases clogged pores, so it deals with baby pimples that haven't become full-blown pimples yet. It is pretty harsh and drying though, so you'll probably need a gentle cleanser and a good moisturiser, and it does tend to work better when you use it all over your face preventatively, rather than as a spot treatment after the pimple has already well and truly left the station. My favorite type of benzoyl peroxide product is a benzoyl peroxide cleanser. Benzoyl peroxide is really annoying because it does tend to stain things. It bleaches stuff, it reacts with dyes and fabric, and it tends to wander off your face onto things that you really want to stay colored. So things like pillowcases and towels and shirts, be really careful about what you're using when you start using benzoyl peroxide because chances are your favorite shirt is going to get ruined. Having the benzoyl peroxide in a cleanser means that most of it will go down the drain before that happens, but it is best to just be a bit careful, wear some old clothes at first. If you're using a benzoyl peroxide cleanser, I would recommend that you also have a gentle cleanser as well because you probably don't want to use the benzoyl peroxide every day because, yeah, it can really dry out your skin. Some popular options are Benzac AC Wash, which has 5% benzoyl peroxide, and Neutrogena Clear Pore Cleanser Mask, which has 3.5%. When you use these, you want to apply it to your face and then wait about a minute before you wash it away so that benzoyl peroxide has time to sink into your skin and work. These benzoyl peroxide cleansers are also really handy if you have acne on your body, so you can avoid stains on your clothes. It can also act as a deodorant if you use it on your armpits because it kills the bacteria in your armpits that causes the stank. If you want to use a leave-on benzoyl peroxide product, there's research showing that 2.5% works as well as 10% with less irritation. So go for the lower percentage, don't get sucked in by the higher number, and remember to put it on all over so that it prevents future pimples. Prevention is a lot easier than treatment. The second ingredient I recommend for acne is salicylic acid. This is also known as beta-hydroxy acid, and it acts as an exfoliant. It helps your dead skin cells shed more evenly, and that means it prevents clogged pores and blackheads. It keeps your pores clearer, and so they look less obvious. Generally, chemical exfoliants will just smooth out your skin a bit. It'll reduce some of that skin texture. Now, the problem with salicylic acid products is that a lot of the good ones tend to be a bit more expensive. 0.5 to 2% is a good concentration for most people. The cheapest product I could find is the Revolution Skincare 2% Salicylic Acid Tonic, which is $20 for a 200ml bottle. My favorite one actually isn't too bad. It's the Paula's Choice one, which comes in a mini 30ml bottle for $15, which is surprisingly cheaper than the Inky List and Revolution 30ml ones for Australians at least. And I think it is just a much better formula. Alternatively, you could get the 118ml bottle for $42, which works out to be about 1/3 cheaper per ml. The way I use this is I pour a little bit into my hand and then I spread it all over my face with my fingers. You can also just rub your hands together and then press it into your skin as well. Some people like to apply these with a cotton pad, but to me it feels like I am wasting product. There is also azelaic acid. Azelaic acid isn't my favorite ingredient. It seems to work for a lot of conditions according to studies, but it also just doesn't really seem to be super effective at any one thing. And the texture of azelaic acid products is kind of tacky and thick and gloopy. But azelaic acid is generally less irritating than a lot of other active ingredients, so I thought I'd mention it. Two options in Australia are Asclear and Phoenicia. I do also want to mention alpha hydroxy acids. Even though you have an exfoliant in the beta-hydroxy acid, the salicylic acid, I've personally found that with texture and whiteheads, alpha hydroxy acids tend to work a lot better. My budget-friendly picks for this would be the Ordinary's glycolic acid toner, which is a little bit strong. It is a bit spicy on a lot of people's skin, so be careful with this. Don't use it every day. Maybe mix it in with something else so you don't use as much. There's also the Ordinary's lactic acid products. These are a bit gentler. Lactic acid in general is a bit gentler than glycolic acid because the molecules are larger, so they don't get into the skin as deeply. Onto a product that I really wished I knew about when I was in high school, hydrocolloid pimple patches. These are little stickers that you stick onto pimples and they soak up the liquid and pass inside the pimples. I've personally found that they seem to work a little bit better on inflamed pimples. You can also use them over intact pimples, but I personally feel like they work better after I've stabbed the pimple with a sterile lance. I'm not sure if that's just me being superstitious and I feel like there's a tunnel so the liquid can get out better, but I have another video on how to pop a pimple safely, so check that out if you tend to pop your pimples and you can't really stop. The main thing I like about these pimple patches is that they stop you from picking at your pimples any further. Plus, sealing in the moisture helps them heal a bit faster. The most budget-friendly option is to buy something like a Duoderm bandage and cut it up into little bits. They can be a bit chunky though, and they can just sort of leap off your face at awkward moments if you move around too much, like in the middle of a sentence. So you probably only want to use these at nighttime or if you're at home and you're not really seeing anyone. There are also flatter versions that are specifically made for pimples, and these are great because you can wear them during the day and they're not super obvious. If your skin is raw, it's really hard to get makeup and concealer to sit on it properly. So if you have the right color patch, it disguises the pimple so it's a lot less noticeable. You can also just go completely the other way and use the pimple patches that look like stars if that's more your style. Cosrx have some really cheap ones. There's also Hero Cosmetics who have Mighty Patch, and one of the versions has tapered edges, which makes it blend in really nicely on your face. I think most countries also have local versions of these pimple patches. In Australia, there's the very originally named Pimple Patch. We are a simple people here. So remember, if you've tried a few options and it didn't really help, or if your acne is quite severe and causing scarring, go see a doctor. You can also do this if you just want to skip all this trial and error and cut straight to the higher risk, higher reward options. Now, sunscreen. If you've been on the internet, you will probably know that every skincare person says sunscreen is super important. And it is. It's really important for protecting your skin from UV. UV is linked to skin cancer and premature aging. The UV can break down collagen, which is what keeps your skin bouncy. So it's a good idea to get into the habit of wearing sunscreen every day if you're going out into the sun. For acne-prone skin, sunscreen is especially good for preventing post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. This is where after your skin's been traumatized, such as after a pimple, it starts to just pump out extra brown pigment. And so you get this little patch of brown, you get a little dark spot, and this can take months to go away. This happens more if you have melanated skin that is used to being good at producing brown pigment. The problem is that it can be hard to get into the habit of wearing sunscreen daily. A lot of sunscreens feel heavy and greasy, so if you haven't used a lot of skincare before, then this can be a lot to adjust to. So the best sunscreen for you is the sunscreen that you'll wear consistently and at the right amount. And lots of studies have shown that the nicer the texture of a sunscreen, the more likely it is that you'll wear it consistently. So generally what you're looking for in a sunscreen is firstly a suitable SPF rating. Generally over 30 is recommended, and the higher the number, the more protection you get. If the amount of UV isn't that high where you are, SPF 15 might be enough. You also want good UVA protection. UVA is a type of UV that's more strongly linked to hyperpigmentation. To get good UVA protection, it's a bit more confusing because depending on where in the world you are, it's labeled differently. So you're looking for broad spectrum, or the UVA circle logo, or PA with 3 or 4 pluses, or a high PPD number, or more stars in the boot star rating. I have a lot of other videos about sunscreens if you want more details on how to choose and use them, but here are some popular budget-friendly lightweight sunscreens that might help you start on your sunscreen journey. Biore Skin Aqua Watery Essence is a Japanese sunscreen that's sold in a lot of online stores that ship to lots of countries. It's super popular and works for a lot of people because it has such a lightweight, refreshing feel, and it sits well under makeup. It's designed to feel watery. Bondi Sands fragrance-free lotion is a cheaper option that's not quite as lightweight, but it's available in lots of countries, including the US, UK, and Australia. There's a body and a face version, and most people seem to agree that they feel pretty much the same. It also has 4 hours water resistance, so you can use it for beach days as well. If you're in Australia, I'd also recommend trying the $2 sunscreens that you can get in Woolworths and Coles and Aldi. These are meant to be body sunscreens, but they're actually quite nice in texture and they're super budget friendly. So if they don't work for your face, they should be fine for your body. They're also 4 hours water resistant. The Natio Daily Defense and the Cancer Council Matte Face are also really popular Australian sunscreens. They work well under makeup, but some people do complain about their eyes stinging a bit with these. So with application, the amount you want to apply is about a 1/4 teaspoon for your face, or 2 generous-ish finger lengths of sunscreen. More is more when it comes to sunscreen. The more you use, the better the protection you have. So don't skimp on sunscreen, don't mix it with anything, apply it generously. Don't forget to reapply it if you're getting more sun exposure. These things are usually written on the label as well, so check that for specific instructions. And don't forget there are other ways you can also protect yourself from the sun. Don't stay in the sun for too long, wear sun protective clothing like hats and sunglasses. Now on to moisturisers. I have personally never really had a good time with the standard super budget-friendly bulk moisturisers that a lot of people tend to recommend. I'm talking about things like CeraVe, Cetaphil, and QV, which is like the Australian version of these, and just Sorbolene cream. These tend to come in really big pump bottles or in really big tubs. They do work for a lot of people, so I'd recommend giving them a try, especially if you have drier skin or if you live in a cool, dry climate. But for me, these tend to feel a bit greasy. They feel like they're sitting on the surface of my skin and not really sinking in, and they clog my pores. So if you've tried these and you don't like them, but you still feel like your skin needs a moisturizer, here are some lighter options. It's actually a bit difficult to find lighter moisturizers that still hydrate well from Western drugstore brands. But Bondi Sands recently launched 2 moisturizers that are really lightweight and hydrating. They're also fragrance-free. Neutrogena Hydro Boost also has some moisturizers that are really good options, but they are fragrance, which can be a problem if you're sensitive to fragrance. Asian skincare brands tend to have really good lightweight moisturizers, but there are very few of them that are consistently below 20 Australian dollars. One that I've tried and seems to work for a lot of people and stays around the $20 mark is the Iunic Centella Calming Cream. This has centella, which is great for soothing irritated skin. You can also try slugging if you want. This is where you put a thick layer of Vaseline over your face while you sleep so you can live the slug life. I'd be a little cautious about this for acne-prone skin because while petroleum jelly by itself isn't very good at clogging your pores, it can potentially help your other products irritate more. So proceed with caution, but it is a very cheap thing to try that can work really well for dry weather. Now, if you're a bit of a skin picker like I was when I was a teenager, and I still am sometimes, I'd also recommend the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast Balm. This is a really nice, hydrating, almost ointment-like thick cream that's really good for protecting your skin when it's raw and peeling. I used to pick off flakes of skin with tweezers and I'd end up with these raw patches of skin on my face, and this just really calms that sort of thing down. A cheap alternative for this is, again, Vaseline. I don't find that it works quite as well because it doesn't have those extra actives. So I've linked all of these budget-friendly recommendations in the description. I've also linked a few other videos that you might be interested in. There's one on hyperpigmentation and how to deal with it, especially those dark post-acne marks. If there are some really great products that I've missed, let me know in the comments. Also, like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok and check out my blog, and I will see you next time for more beauty science.